You're listening to A Deeper Dive, a part of the Winsight Podcast Network.
Let's meet 7 Brew, one of the fastest growing restaurant chains in the country. Hello, this is Jonathan Mays, editor-in-chief of Restaurant Business, and in this week's episode of A Deeper Dive, I speak with John Davidson, CEO of the rapidly growing drive-thru coffee chain. Now, if you haven't been to a 7 Brew, just wait. One will probably show up near your house sometime soon. The company's unit count nearly tripled last year, enough to make the brand number 2 on the Restaurant Business Future 50 ranking of the nation's growth chains, and it has grown just as fast so far in 2023. But anybody who listens to this podcast probably knows that such fast growth comes with serious risks, and we talk with John about how the brand set itself up for growth and how it's been able to grow that quickly. And it will only continue to grow quickly in the coming years based on the number of deals the company has signed up with franchisees. We also talk about why drive-thru coffee is so popular these days. Several fast-growing chains in the U.S. serve drive-thru coffee. And we talk about 7 Brew's expansion into smaller markets. We also talk extensively about training and operations and why that's so important. We're talking 7 Brew on A Deeper Dive, so please have a listen. Okay, I am here with John Davidson. John, welcome to the podcast.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, super. So tell me about 7 Brew.
7 Brew is really about the Brew Crew. I mean, I'm wearing one of the shirts today. You get one of these shirts when you work at 7 Brew. The Brew Crew is just the team, and it's really who we are. It's everything. 7 Brew sells a positive experience. We're in drive-thru only. We're in beverage only. But what we sell is a positive experience. And we feel like the model focuses on that topic throughout, from the time you get to the time you leave. It doesn't matter what the process is, whether it's the paying in the POS or you're getting greeted in the line. So I could speak all day about what our business model is, but if I could summarize it, we sell a positive experience, and there's layers to that.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the company's history.
Company's history: first store was opened in 2017. There was 7 stores in Northwest Arkansas, around Rogers, Arkansas. And we purchased the company in January of 2020. Really thought there was something special to the industry, but specifically to 7 Brew. And so the history moving forward is we took a year to really set up the right platforms, the right systems, and really focus on what makes this model special. And from the buildings, we changed those to the drink lines. We changed those to how you take the order, and opened our first store in February of 2021. And from there, decided the right thing to do was to franchise. This model deserved getting out to the rest of the country as fast as possible, and we felt like franchising was the way to do that, to protect the culture, but also to go fast, which we thought was right for this brand. And from there forward, the history is we got live in about May of 21 with our franchise documents. We legally could talk to franchisees, and we're on our way from 300 to 3,000. We've sold well over 2,500 units, on our way to 3,000 license, and currently we have well over 125 units open and headed to 3,000.
You have 125 units open already?
Yeah, we had about 25 units open in August of last year. We had about 38 units in December of last year. We stand here today right at 140. I think we're at 138. And just going to keep opening them on the right cadence as long as we can meet all of our standards.
Mm-hmm. So that's some pretty substantial growth. And you've nearly tripled from there, if I have my math correct.
Correct.
So you've been open pretty rapidly.
Yeah, we've opened up about 100 stores from January 1 till middle of September.
Mm-hmm. How have you been able to grow? Is it just you were? How are you able to grow that quickly? Are you ever get concerned about growing too fast?
Oh, that was everyone's concern. So you have to go as fast as you can go until you realize that that's not right for the brand. Right now, we know that we know we can go a lot faster. It really comes down to, I'm going to keep coming back to it. It keeps coming back to this Brew Crew. Keeps coming back to the team. CeCe Laborde and her team have built the greatest training platform I've ever seen. It's not about, it really follows the same model as our stands. Just to kind of give you an analogy, we really believe this at Seven Brew. It's a little cheesy, but I'm from the 80s. Everybody wants to be Norm at Cheers. Everybody in this planet wants to be Norm at Cheers. What that really means is people know who you are. They care about who you are. They know your name. The one thing that's impossible to be Norm at Cheers is if you don't have a Sam. And if you don't have that person on the other side. So I give you the two analogies in the Seven Brew line to have a positive experience. When everyone's leaning towards technology and dehumanizing the experience, you can't take an order at Seven Brew unless it's a physical person face to face. There is an interaction. There's customization between that interaction. There's words between humans. You're finding out that that person may be lactose intolerant. That person might be diabetic. And you have a drink that you can customize. We have more sugar-free flavors than anybody on the street. So you can customize right to that person. So I take that and take it to the training. All of our training for every one of our franchise groups, we're spending way, way, way above industry standards on human capital to do that training. And every single person is trained face-to-face, hip-to-hip with one of our certified trainers in Northwest Arkansas. And so when that group of 15 to 25 go back to open their very first store, we send a whole nother team of 8 to 10 to do the very same thing for the rest of the crew. And now you have the crew that got to experience culture. We don't think you can teach culture. You can simply see it and understand that's special. So that's how you grow fast. I can tell you in all those stores, we haven't missed culture or operations. The only thing that will hold us back on speed is just brick and mortar and development.
How is, you must not be having that many problems if you've been able to open 100 additional locations.
I think the other thing is the opportunity. Everybody wants an opportunity. So I keep coming back to the Brew Crew. We're a franchisor business, and we are protecting the brand. And our job is to show the franchisees how to do this culture thing, how to do this training thing. So with this program that CC and the team have put together, by the time you get to store 3 with a franchisee, they fully have all their own systems, their own training program, their own baller program, their own network to duplicate what we've done as a franchisor inside their network. And you can do that because we chose a path that we are selling, our average franchisee is buying 60 units, 55 units. And so some are a little smaller, but many are a lot bigger. So once you've set up a new company, they're just duplicating the same thing that works, and they've seen it work. And so that's the speed to growth right there.
So you train, so you give these new franchisees extensive training, and yes. Both in Arkansas and on site. And then they take that training and then they develop their own systems that they can provide training for when they open stores in their markets.
That's correct. They take the exact same playbook, the same training manuals, the same onboarding manuals, the same hiring platforms, the same hiring websites, and duplicate it in a way that's, which fits their geography. And then they build out from there. But what we've done right from a franchisor side is we realize that we don't have an option to ever fail. So our tagline to every single one of our franchisees is you will not fail at operations. If we have to come in and do it for you until you can stand up, we'll do that for you. This is not an arm's length transaction. We really believe that they're our partners, and we've been really, really selective, we feel, in the partners we've chosen.
Why is the operation so important? Why is this culture and operation so important?
We sell a positive experience. You can't have a positive experience if you get the drink wrong. You can't have a positive experience if it's dead, meaning that, the drinks sweat out or the ice is gone. You can't have a positive experience if it's slow, most of all. We are about speed. But the way you do that is you have to have the best culture inside that box. So our stands, we call them the box. Inside that box, it has to be the best job on the street. If it's not the best job on the street, you're not going to have the best people on the street. And that's why the Brew Crew is so important. So speed, we think, is extremely important. We think customization is equally as important. Getting that drink right is important. But most of all, that positive interaction that you had during that day. So what's important about that, once we realized you have to have the SAM if you're going to have Norm, we're outside. All of our drinks are taken out. All our orders are taken outside by a human. They're handed out by a human. Outside, not through a window. Everybody's coming outside. Our box has been transformed to where it focuses on the outside and not the inside. So we feel like if you have the best atmosphere inside the box, it's naturally going to pour out into the community. And, you know, the truth is, the world can be very difficult for a lot of people, and our daily lives can have a lot of challenges and a lot of. So if you have a positive experience, it's the most addictive thing that I know of. It's way more addictive than drugs or alcohol. You'll come back for a positive experience because you want to see and you want to experience something positive. And so we believe that starts and stops with the Brew Crew if they get that right. So to your question, that's why operations are so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Operations always one of the more underappreciated elements of the restaurant business, at least on the outside. But you know, it matters. It matters a lot. And if you don't get them right, you're gonna pay the price over the long term, without any question.
We do 20,000 unique drinks in any given stand. So the reason why that's so important is if you're diabetic, I said, we have the most sugar-free flavors. And if you're building the drinks the way we build them, we're going to make sure there's no sugar in that drink. If you're looking for calorie count, meaning you want a high calorie count because you want a meal supplement, there's ways for us to put extra espresso to give you an extra boost, extra maybe sugar or extra dairy or something in there. Or if you're really watching calorie count, we can make drinks that have 25 calories, 35 calories. So you can do that customization. And the way our drinks are built, they're built from, from a system that can make customization easy. But most of all, it makes customization fun for the baristas. That barista is having an experience in there also, making that customized drink. And the system and the operations are all focused on that one thing.
So we are seeing a lot of demand right now for drive-thru coffee. The market that you are in is growing faster than I think a lot of people appreciate, and is frankly rather insane. So you've got Dutch Bros on the West Coast. You got Scooter's Coffee. You have existing brands that are pushing into drive-thru coffee as well, very aggressively. What is it about that particular market that is such a high demand market right now?
Yeah, I think it's we've seen it in a lot of. You've seen the sub wars of the '90s after Subway came out in the '80s. You've seen the burger wars, I guess, in the '60s and '70s. I think it's a new category that's been around a while, but it's now getting focused. I think at the end of the day, I look at Starbucks. The Mermaid went across the country and educated everyone and did an amazing job. What a brand. They educated people about what espresso was. They've done different, today's chai tea day. You think anyone knew what chai tea was in Cookeville, Tennessee in 1985? No, they do now because Starbucks is there. I'm from Cookeville, Tennessee. And so I think that really that it's focused on two things, what you said. I think we're only focused on the two things that matter, and that's drive-thru, you're right, and beverage only. And beverage is a really big category. I think the C-stores have showed everybody how big beverage really is. This is a different way to deliver it. And it's the way to deliver it customized, fast. Oh, you never have to get out of your car. All those things that you really want when it's beverage needs to be on the go. So if you're in a beverage line and someone is having to wear 3 hats, and that is order ahead through a digital app that you have to pick up, in-store ordering, and then drive-through only, 3 very different channels. Now add this, food at all 3 channels. You could be great. You can be good. You can't be great. It's just not possible to have that many arms. So I think that what we're focused on is let's focus on what we're really good at, and that's beverage, and that's drive-through only. So I think that, we really look at ourselves as the Dollar General of coffee. If you look at the white space and how big it really is when you use that, we're in 4 cities right now that don't have the mermaid, and we're doing wonderful. And so I think focusing on that is, I think, to answer your question, I just think it's one of the more exciting channels. It's going to be built out. We all know it's going to be built out. That business model is a beautiful business model. There are people that are playing in it in different ways. We're trying to play right down the center where we want to be.
The Dollar General of coffee. That's not something that I expected to hear when we started this conversation today.
We're Americana.
So you go in a lot of smaller markets then, huh?
We go in all markets is what I mean by that. Dollar General is in Dallas, Texas, and it's in Alvin, Texas. It's in Gainesboro, Tennessee. It's in Nashville, Tennessee. Dollar General is proved how much white space for their model there was. And so that's what I'm focused on, is that, our customer is Americana. What does your demographic look in around that store? That's our customer. So the drink mix will look very different depending on what the demographic might look like. Just different taste. Dairy is preferred in one area of the country when alternative milks are preferred somewhere else. Sugar in one and sugar-free in another. And so, and we're not just coffee, we're beverage, which is a really big category. Our premium energy drink has been beyond successful. We really focused on what the customers want. So that Dollar General of coffee, what I mean by that is, that doesn't mean we're just going for the small towns. I think people recognize, Dollar General thrives there. But if you look at where they are, they're everywhere. And that's what I mean by that. So the white space starts doing, it gets much wider, much bigger, more expansive. So that's where it was an eye-opener for us when we started going into and hearing that feedback. And there's something for everybody.
Yeah, people in smaller communities like coffee too, as far as I know.
Humans are humans, right? And, look, let's be honest, there's some brands out there that we all love, and they're only going to go at the corner of Main and Main in the highest per capita income of that state. It's only going to be in Wayzata for your part of the world. It's going to be in that really, or in the city, the Twin Cities. They're not going out into the farmland where there's a 35,000 person town. And so those people are very underserved, we believe, in a way that they can have the same customization, the same great atmosphere. And the truth is, what you learn in this business is, one of the questions that happened all the time was from franchisees, well, how do you find these awesome people? It's like, there are awesome people in Omaha, Nebraska, in Abilene, Texas, in Montgomery, Alabama. They're awesome. That's just their hometown, but they don't have a channel to put them on display, because it's really hard to be awesome behind a speaker box. It's really hard to be awesome, when the model doesn't feature how wonderful the Brew Crew is. So that was our aha moment. We went into Joplin, Missouri, and found some of the most amazing, beautiful people. And they have been that was our first store we opened in Valentine's Day of 2021. So that's why I always pick on Joplin. And I think we've had something like 20 individuals go out and be a part of corporate and join other brands, talk to other franchisees in our brand. And so, that's, you said people drink coffee in small towns. And I think the reason why that set me off was, that the flyover state's pretty awesome. The small towns are pretty awesome. The coast is awesome. Baltimore is just as great as Nashville, and the people there are just as great.
Yeah. So when you acquired the brand, what did you see in it?
I think that loved what we've already talked about, the segment it was in. I thought that was obvious. Loved the menu, but fell in love with the culture and fell in love with the interaction. So what I saw is I would stand there in line and take orders and take orders and take orders, and the drink was already made inside because the barista already knew who that individual was, knew their name, knew their kids. And I was like, where do you see that anywhere in life anymore? And so that's what I loved about it.
hmm Now, you spent a lot of time setting up the systems? What did you do to ensure that you'd be able to handle this level of growth? Because
Yeah.
a very extreme level of growth that I'm seeing right
You nailed it. It was putting a system in place that when you put another box in place, it wasn't one more incremental hour of work. That you let the system support the people. So from ordering, from the distribution channels, from the POS, from accounting, that it simply was just another duplicative task to support the people. We should only be all these systems should make the manager and the baristas in the individual stores' life easier and not harder. So it was really just if we put anything in place that it could scale all the way to the equipment. And obviously, as we were doing this, we were still in COVID and coming out of COVID. And so there's a lot of things that we had to go long on. We had to hold equipment 6 and 12 months in advance and put our money where our mouth was, that we really did believe that we would grow the way you said we were going to grow, that we had redundancy in our supply chain, that, if there happened to be a fire somewhere or an accident with somewhere in a factory, that there was a substitute. So those are all the things we put in place. We would call them just blocking and tackling, being smart about that, that we don't have any roadblocks to inhibit growth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how is the real estate market now for you? Because everybody wants to open drive-through locations still.
You're right.
Is the most in-demand real estate for restaurants and maybe retail overall. That there is. What kind of market are you seeing, and how are you combating that?
It's just, we go where there's good real estate. So we let real estate dictate our growth plan, and we encourage franchisees to only focus on getting great real estate. And if they get great real estate, we feel like the brand will travel and the operations will be there. So it really is, I have a background in real estate, and a lot of times you got to put a lot of sites in the funnel to have a few fall out. So our funnel is really, really, really big right now. We feel like interest rates rising could only help. It allows, less competitors that might have a more aggressive model where it doesn't make sense for a build-to-suit developer in another model that has nothing to do with drive-through coffee, but it would be competing for the same real estate. We're bullish on it. We've got a really, really, really big pipeline because we're playing in a really, really, really big white space. It would be different if we were only saying we want to go in, the eastern side of Tennessee. We don't. We want to go where great real estate is. So I think that has helped us more than anything. And over time, that life things happen and real estate come available. We realize that the retail banking industry doesn't need as many sites as they have. So all of a sudden that's turning over in markets. And we're very bullish on that. America's a big place, and we're in a big part of America. We're in 23 states today. We'll be in 26 by the end of the year. So, we got half the country to play with. So that's a big playground when you're only at 138 stores. So it's just a simple math, and we got to get out there. And our team is amazing. Drew Gridker, director of franchising, is one of the greatest leaders I've been around. He's got Johnny Jones and a whole nother team of individuals that are building out our real estate platform. And they work hand in hand with our franchise.
Right. Now, what's the initial investment on one of the locations?
For a license?
How much it costs? How much does it cost to build a new?
Yeah, so the on the license side, it's a $35,000 license. You pay 10 up front, 25,000 when you open the store. From a Capex, to your question, I always exclude real estate, whether you're leasing it or buying it or something else. That's kind of the variable. But excluding real estate, you should be all in with opening legal, opening soft cost, opening inventory, pre-opening marketing expenses, and all the site work, and the box, and all the equipment for under $1.2 million to $1.15 million. We've seen it all day long. We've seen cheaper than that, but I think the average would be right there.
Mm-hmm. All right, super. So where are you going to be in 5 years?
5 years. Man, what a great question. Hopefully let's see here. For the brand will be at 3,000 units. That's what I'd love to see. I don't know how many units we'll have, Jonathan. We'll be one of the major players in America, going head to head with Starbucks in drive-thru beverage, and we'll be spreading the culture that we built on a much grander scale. How many units we'll have? How can we get there? It'll all dictate off of the real estate and the development. We believe operations and the system and the supply chain can handle whatever we throw at it. So I think we'll see. I'll tell you where we'll be. I'll be sitting in my living room, hopefully watching Cece hold this call, because I'm watching somebody that's 25 years old, running an $8 million EBITDA business with 18 stores all by herself. The talent that's in this country in the young 20-year-olds is untapped. And I think we'll see all of this Brew Crew that we built. We've got about 800 at corporate, almost 900. They're going to be, 5 years from now, they're going to be 28 to 31 instead of, 22 to 25. And they're going to be leading this company. They're going to be doing an amazing job. And in 5 years, hopefully they've all bettered their lives and they're proud of what they built, and they're taking it to that next step. And hopefully, the world's a big, big place. So we'll see where we go.
All right, super. Now, you said everybody wants to be Norm. For the record, I've always wanted to be Cliff.
You're as funny as Cliff to say that.
All right, sir, this was fantastic. Really appreciate you joining me on the podcast.
Very nice to meet you, Jonathan. Heard great things. Thanks for making time for 7 Brew.
And that should do it for this week's episode of A Deeper Dive, which was edited, as always, by Kimmy Spoons Kazmarek. Artwork by Nico Hines. You may find this and other episodes of the podcast on our website at www.restaurantbusinessonline.com/article/deeper-dive. And you may subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I'm Jonathan Mays, your host, podcast producer, and the editor-in-chief of Restaurant Business. Thank you for listening.